wanted to do a recommendation sort of review for one of these. It's a Ganzo little sort of multi-tool. Very practical, very good, and the exact model is the Model G112. Now most of these Ganzo multi-tools are very similar except for one or two tools that are different, a bit like Swiss Army knives. So when you get it, it's in this box and then in this pouch. This pouch has got a belt loop on it, so that's very practical and good. Nice sturdy little Velcro sort of sheath for it. So what's in here, you get your multi-tool, and you also get your sort of screwdriver type heads, which I'll come on to in a minute, which is really practical. So this thing, I'm in love with it already. I've had it a couple of days. I've already found a lot of uses for it. So obviously I'm sure a lot of you know what multi-tools are, but it's kind of like if you want a practical pocket tool, you normally either have a Swiss Army knife or one of these. The advantage of a Swiss Army knife is it's generally lighter and smaller, but it can do less things. A multi-tool is a bit bulkier, but it can do more things. Now as far as I'm aware, this one is perfectly UK legal because the blade on it is only under 3 inches and doesn't lock. So basically a multi-tool is like a Swiss Army knife where you've got all the bits folded in there, but then you can also unfold the main bit, and now you've got pliers and a wire cutter. So if you can see there, the plier head there, and then the wire cutters there. So you've got quite a few different accessories of this. So if I fold it back down, we're going to go through the accessories. I'm not completely sure what all of them do, because generally with these multi-tools you've got a load that you'll use and find practical. Then on pretty much every model of Swiss Army knife or multi-tools there'll be tools that you won't necessarily need, but let's go through all of them. So starting with this blade that's under 3 inches and doesn't lock, obviously very practical. You can hold it like that when you're using it with the multi-tool. For some people this might be a little bit more impractical using a blade like this on a Swiss Army knife because of the fact that you've got this chunky handle. I quite like it, but that's personal preference. Then what we've got here is, again, this is a tool I wouldn't use, but it kind of looks like a very small flathead screwdriver. It's probably got other practical uses as well, but you know, I wouldn't personally really use that all that often, I don't think. Right, let's get the next tool out. Here we've got what's definitely a bigger flathead screwdriver. Then last on this side we've got a file on one side of this and a ruler on the other, so you can use that for measuring. This is also really practical for getting at things that are hard to reach in a small space. I was using this earlier. I was pulling the wick up a bit on my IMCO lighter, so what I was doing is taking all the wadding out, checking how much of the wick was left, and then putting the wadding in. The issue is that you can't really reach into an IMCO lighter as well as a Zippo to do that, so this is really good to just hook in and sort of pull the cotton out with. Right, let's go for the tools on the other side. With some of these you have to kind of take a few out to get at all of them, a bit like the Swiss Army knife. Some of them aren't as practical to get out as others. Some of them are a bit hard to pull out as well. The longer you have these sort of multi-tools and Swiss Army knives, the easier the bits come to flip out, but when you first get them, you know, they can be a bit more difficult. So you've got like a saw knife blade on this one. Obviously if you want to do sawing, that can be practical. I have a feeling this is for punching holes in leather, one of these. This is one of the things that I'd rarely use. People have told me what they are on the Swiss Army knives, but again, unless you use all the tools on them, you're not really going to be too familiar with all the tools. Now this is the most interesting one, so I'll come to it last. And this one is, I think, what you can use for sort of gutting or descaling fish. And it's also, I'm pretty sure this is the one you can use as a bottle opener here. If I just pull that completely round so it flips up. You know, you can use one bit as the bottle opener as far as I'm aware, the second bit here. And that bit is used as the fish sort of descaler, because that's quite sharp, this bit. It might have a different use, obviously. Let me know. You'll probably think I'm an idiot for having this and not knowing what all the bits do, but like with a Swiss Army knife, if you buy the ones with all the accessories on, unless you really come to use that accessory, you're not going to use it much. But this is one of the really cool bits. So let's go back to these which we had earlier. What you do is you've got all these accessories, so you pull out this thing first, if I can get it out, because the rubber holds it in tight so you can't lose it, which is good. You've got what is essentially some sort of hex key on one side and then a square on the other. The square bit goes in here. So you put that in. That doesn't sit super tight, but it's not going to come off unless you're working at very odd angles. It holds down that way quite well. So then what you do is you've got, like, basically you can either use that as a kind of hex key, or you can look through here pick a sort of head you want. So let's say you want a big Phillips screwdriver. You know, you pop that on. Now you've got this as you can use as a Phillips screwdriver. Pretty handy. It's got the Flathead ones in there, which is why I think it doesn't have a load of screwdriver accessories on here to save space. Because with most Swiss Army knives, you have a couple of different sort of screwdriver swing out bits. With this, you had a couple of what look like Flathead ones, which might also work as other tools, and then you've kind of got your different heads you can put onto it here. If you want a really practical, fast to get out screwdriver, the Swiss Army knives are probably better, but this has got more versatile because, you know, both these things fit in the pouch. So obviously to disassemble that, fairly straightforward. This feels slightly magnetic as well. I'm not sure if it is or if that's just picked up a bit of magnetic charge, but it would make sense if that's magnetic to keep the bits together easier. So then you fold it back in. Then obviously with this you can put both bits in. I find it easier to put the actual multi-tool in first, then slide this bit down the back. And you can Velcro that down and you've got it all packed up. So yeah, for a little accessory you can put on your belt, this is really good. I got this one from Blades and Bows. I think it was only around £15. But yeah, it's a really practical multi-tool. I've wanted a multi-tool for ages because I've known they've been good. I know there's all the really good old Leatherman ones. Gerber do some good ones, but I think I've heard from a lot of people that the newer Gerber ones aren't as good as the older Gerber ones. That's why a lot of people like the classic sort of Leatherman type ones as well. But as I was saying, this Ganzo one only ends up being about £15, whereas if you go for a lot of the Gerber ones, you have to end up paying about £60 to get something of the exact same tools on. This thing is certainly not fragile, it's built to last. One of the things I really like about it, might sound weird, if you sniff it, it has that kind of stainless steel smell that a lot of old tanks seem to have. If you ever go to a tank museum, there's that very almost diesel-y kind of steel smell. Reminds me exactly of that. So, there you go. That's your Gerber G112. As I said, you probably find all of these Gerber ones of a similar size are very similar. But yeah, what a great multi-tool. I've done it, you know, used it for a couple of things already. And it's very practical and exactly what I wanted from a multi-tool. I've just noticed on the box it tells you what everything does. So what I thought might have been the fish hook's actually a can opener. That makes sense, the can opener and bottle opener are on the same thing. Was there anything, so small flatheads, I'll just read them all. Can opener and bottle opener, cross point screwdriver, tool bit attachment post, all, that was the leather thing I was thinking of, serrated knife blade, the saw sort of one, fine edge knife blade, small flathead screwdriver, large flathead screwdriver ruler. So yeah, those are two screwdrivers on that side, and then obviously that adaptable one is the one where you put the tools on, then you can decide what you want to do with it. But all in all, yes, very good.